Fiona Pender was born on July 13th, 1971, and grew up in Tullamore, County Offaly, Ireland, in what was widely described as a close and loving family. She was the only daughter of Sean and Josephine Pender, and had two younger brothers, Mark and John. Friends and relatives consistently remembered Fiona as a warm, outgoing and positive young woman, known for her sense of style, her interest in fashion and her strong bond with her family. She was particularly close to her mother Josephine, with whom she shared everyday routines, shopping trips and conversations about life. These ordinary family moments would later take on enormous significance following Fiona's disappearance. Fiona left school at the age of 15 and trained as a hairdresser, later supplementing her income with part-time modelling work. For a period in her late teens and early 20s, she lived in Croydon, London, where she worked in a hotel before deciding to return to Ireland. Back in Tullamore, she resumed work as a hairdresser and became well known locally. Her life at this stage appeared stable and hopeful, though it unfolded against a backdrop of growing family tragedy. In June of 1995, the Pender family suffered a devastating loss when Fiona's brother Mark was killed in a motorcycle accident at the age of 22. Mark left behind a young son, and his sudden death deeply affected every member of the family. Fiona herself reportedly struggled with the loss, but tried to remain strong for her parents and her younger brother. Her mother would later recall Fiona telling her, in the aftermath of Mark's death, that, quote, "nothing worse could happen to the family," words that would gain tragic meaning just over a year later. In October of 1993, Mark had introduced Fiona to John Thompson, a young man from County Laois who shared her interest in motorcycles. The two began a relationship and eventually moved in together. By 1996, Fiona was living with Thompson in a flat on Church Street in Tullamore. Despite differences in background, Thompson came from a wealthy farming family, while Fiona's upbringing was more modest. The couple appeared settled. Fiona was pregnant with her first child and, by all accounts, was looking forward to becoming a mother. The day before she vanished, on October the 22nd, 1996, she spent time with her mother shopping for baby clothes in Tullamore. Garda records and later family statements described Fiona as being in good spirits that day, excited about the impending birth. Josephine dropped Fiona back to her flat that evening, kissed her goodbye, and expected to see her again the following morning. It was the last time she would ever see her daughter alive. In the early hours of Friday the 23rd of August, Fiona was last seen. According to John Thompson, he left the flat at approximately 6 a.m. to work on his family farm, leaving Fiona alone at home. Later that same day, a friend called to the apartment but received no response. Concern quickly grew, and Fiona was reported missing by her family the following day, on August the 24th. At the time, she was 7 months pregnant, which heightened the urgency of the situation. Gardaí launched an extensive missing persons investigation almost immediately. Searches were conducted across Tullamore and the surrounding areas, including the Grand Canal and the Tullamore River. Specialist units were deployed, including sub-aqua teams, tracker dogs, members of the Civil Defence and Air Corps helicopters. Given Fiona's pregnancy, maternity hospitals throughout Ireland and the United Kingdom were alerted. Despite these wide-ranging efforts, no trace of Fiona or her unborn child was found. Within days of her disappearance, troubling witness accounts began to emerge. One local man contacted Gardaí to report seeing two men carrying what appeared to be rolled-up carpet from Fiona's apartment building around about the time she went missing. According to his statement, the object was placed into a four-wheel drive vehicle. Another witness later claimed he was nearly forced off the road by a four-wheel drive vehicle travelling at speed in the direction of Sleeve Bloom Mountains on the night Fiona disappeared. These accounts would become significant as the investigation progressed. As the initial searches yielded no results, the Pender family's fear grew that something serious had happened. Fiona's brother John, who was just 13 years old at the time, later recalled the moment the reality began to sink in. With no sightings, no communication, and no medical admissions anywhere, the family slowly accepted that Fiona had not simply left of her own free will. Her advanced pregnancy made the idea of a voluntary disappearance increasingly implausible. Attention soon focused on Fiona's partner at the time, John Thompson. He maintained that he had no involvement in her disappearance and stated that he had been at his family's farm at the time. In April of 1997, Thompson, along with his father and three sisters, was arrested and questioned by Gardaí. All were later released without charge, and no prosecution followed. However, Thompson would later be formally identified by investigators as a suspect in the case, a status that has never changed. In 1999, Fiona Pender's disappearance was included in Operation Trace, a Gardaí inquiry examining a number of high-profile cases involving missing women in Ireland during the 1990s. While public speculation often suggested links between these cases, investigators later indicated that Operation Trace was established largely in response to public concern, rather than firm evidence of a single perpetrator. In Fiona's case, Gardaí believed they had both a suspect and a motive, but lacked the physical evidence required to bring charges. The early 2000s brought further heartbreak to the Pender family. In March of 2000, Fiona's father, Sean, died by taking his own life. He was found in the family home by his son, John, who later spoke publicly about the trauma of discovering his father and attempting to save him. Josephine believed her husband was unable to cope with the compounded loss of his son, daughter, and unborn grandchild. This tragedy left Josephine and John as the only surviving immediate members of the family. Despite her own grief, Josephine Pender became the driving force behind the campaign to find Fiona. Year after year, she appealed publicly for information, marking each anniversary of her daughter's disappearance with renewed pleas. She repeatedly stated that she no longer believed Fiona was alive, but wanted her remains recovered so that she and her baby could be laid to rest with dignity. Her resilience and refusal to abandon hope earned her widespread admiration. In May 2008, the investigation appeared to take a dramatic turn when a hill walker discovered a makeshift wooden cross in Monnockney Woods in the Sleeve Bloom Mountains. The cross bore the words, "Fiona Pender, buried here, August 22nd, 1996. Gardaí launched an extensive forensic excavation of the area, assisted by soldiers and cadaver dogs. Despite the specificity of the message, no remains were found. Investigators did not believe the cross was a hoax, noting that the date written differed from the officially recorded last sighting, suggesting insider knowledge rather than random vandalism. Further developments emerged in 2014 and 2015 when it was reported that the prime suspect in Fiona's disappearance had been arrested in Canada in connection with allegations of sexual assault and threats against his wife. During the investigation, the woman told police that her husband had implied that he had killed Fiona and threatened that the same could happen to her. She also claimed he had brought her to a specific wooded location in Ireland. Island and said Fiona was buried there. This information prompted renewed searches near Rosenallis, County Laois, involving forensic archaeologists and cadaver dogs. Once again, however, no remains were recovered. The Canadian case ultimately collapsed, with the judge later ruling that the complainant's allegations were unreliable and possibly motivated by a custody dispute. Thompson was acquitted and later pursued a civil claim against Canadian authorities for malicious prosecution, though this claim was ultimately dismissed by the courts. Despite the outcome of the Canadian proceedings, Irish Gardaí maintained their belief that he remained the chief suspect in Fiona's disappearance. Josephine Pender continued her campaign until her health began to fail. In August of 2017, marking the 21st anniversary of Fiona's disappearance, she made a final public appeal, stating that she did not know if she would live much longer, and pleading with anyone who knew something to come forward. She died in September of that same year after a long illness, never learning the fate of her daughter or unborn grandchild. At her funeral, a letter she had written to Fiona was read aloud, expressing love, regret, and a hope that Fiona was in the light and not afraid. In the years following Josephine's death, Fiona's brother John took on the role of campaigner. He publicly called for full reviews of the investigation and continued to engage with the media and authorities. Memorials to Fiona were established, including Fiona's Way, a walking trail along the Grand Canal in Tullamore. Her case has remained deeply embedded in the national consciousness and was frequently referenced in discussions of Ireland's so-called Vanishing Triangle. On the 25th anniversary of Fiona's disappearance in August of 2021, Gardaí renewed their appeal for information, urging anyone who had not previously come forward or who felt unable to speak in the past to contact investigators. They emphasised that even seemingly insignificant details could prove crucial. In May of 2025, nearly 29 years after Fiona vanished, the investigation entered a new phase, when Gardaí formally reclassified the case as a murder inquiry. This followed the emergence of what authorities described as credible new information from a witness who knew both Fiona and the prime suspect. Searches were conducted in farmlands near Killy, County Offaly, and later in areas near Clonaslee in County Laois. Temporary no-fly zones were imposed to protect the integrity of the operations. Despite the scale and intensity of these searches, no human remains were recovered, and the operations concluded by the end of May. Today, Fiona Pender's disappearance remains unsolved. The case has left behind a trail of unanswered questions and immeasurable loss, not only for her family, but everyone who knew and loved her. While investigators maintain that they know who is responsible, the absence of physical evidence continues to prevent resolution in this case. For Fiona's family, and particularly her brother John, the search is not only for justice, but for dignity, truth, and the possibility of finally laying Fiona and her child to rest.